We're going to talk about how you guys are going to cover your drywall modules here. We're going to first start by measuring the width of our module. In this case, I'm 36 inches of our module. In this case, I'm 36 inches. So I'm going to measure out 36. You can mark with a pencil. In my case, I'm just going to use a knife to make a little mark at 36. Then I'm going to take my drywall square and I'm going to lay it up on top. I'm going to put it right on that mark. Now it's important that you don't have one side hanging off or this will not sit square. It's got to be nice and tight all the way across the top. And then I'm going to put my foot against the bottom. So I hold the top, my foot holds the bottom, and I run my knife right down the edge. And I don't have to cut super deep, I just got to get through the paper. And I'm using my knuckles to kind of hold the square flat to the drywall. Run up from the bottom, get that done. Now pull this out, just snap right in the middle. Now I got to come back in from the back side and cut. The tighter I have this, if I have it out like this, it's really difficult to go straight, right? But if I have it in here like this, all I have to do is run my knife right up the center. And we'll bring this over here and we're ready to screw this on. So what we're going to use to screw these on is a special kind of bit that's designed to make it so that the screw goes in the exact correct depth. When it gets as deep as it's supposed to go, this has a little clutch in it and it will stop spinning. So we're going to use our 1 1/4 screws. And what we'll do is we'll just use our foot to hold this up at the right height so it's flush with the bottom. I'll line my right side up. I'll put my screw in. And then when I go to the bottom here, it's flush here, so I'm going to push it over until it's flush right here. And then we'll put screws down each side every 8 inches. For right now, I'm going to put screws in all 4 corners. All right, so I got to cut my next piece, 36 inches. This piece is rough out here because that's where I just cut it. So I'm going to mark my next one using my factory edge over here, 36 inches. Remember, I keep it flat on the top. I put my toe up against it on the bottom. Notice how I'm holding the square tight to the drywall with my other finger. Pull it out, snap it. We'll go up on top. We can see that the piece is too tall, right? So now all I'm going to do is get up here on the back side with my knife and I'm going to just run it along the top of this wall. And then when I come out here, it'll just pop down. And that side's done. So what we have here is a joint that's along the tapered edge. So one side of your module, you're going to have a tapered edge in the middle. 2 solid pieces applied to the wall horizontally. The other side that your group will do, you're going to use these 32-inch pieces that we pre-cut. What we'll do with these is we're going to put them on so they're kind of centered, because remember, this is the tapered edge here, right? We want to remove this tapered edge. If we have that tapered edge on part of it and the other part doesn't have the tapered edge, it kind of will be at different thicknesses. So we're going to screw it on in the center so we can cut that part off. Of course, we're going to add our screws every 8 inches, going down these studs. Normally on a stud wall, if these weren't plumbing modules that we were using for other things, we'd have a stud every 16 inches. In this case, you're going to put a piece in here that kind of imitates a stud so that you have some support in the middle. So now that I've got that in, I'm going to simply use my knife the way I did before. Run it up the outside. Run it down the inside. You'll need to take a block and put it in the middle here. We'll just take a chunk of 2x4 or a chunk of scrap, and we'll throw something in here that's 4 feet long. We'll pop a couple screws in here. That way when we put this one in, we can pop a screw there, there, and there, and then we'll do the same thing up above. And what you're gonna end up with here is 2 seams that would be your butt joints, right? Because remember, we have that long seam on the drywall, that's our tapered joint. And then we have, when we butt them together, you have butt joints. So these are gonna be like butt joints because there's no taper there. And then you'll have your tapered joint right here, okay? So we need to reinforce this with a piece of 2x4 behind so that it's not moving around on us. Again, because these are plumbing modules, we just don't wanna put all those studs in there, okay? So you guys are gonna break up into your groups, and each group will use 1 full sheet and 3 of these 32-inch pieces, all right? You guys can go ahead and break up into your groups, grab a module, pull out somewhere in the shop, and get started.